Hover vehicles resembling motorcycles without wheels. His plan. Chapter 5. His plan, your goal. Liberté, now Wanyanyekevu, followed the ancient Fariji, heading south down Highway 65. During this time, the abandoned roadway hadn't been used much in centuries, at least not by the Wakatilians. They used trails in the wooded area, many used for hunting and traveling because they feared being seen by the Abenians on their sky crafts. These sky crafts were motorized hover vehicles resembling motorcycles without wheels that flew miles high in the sky, so no Wakatilian used the old highways or interstates. Sabaoth changed that, but we'll talk about that later. Just know, the Abenians punished and even killed Wakatilians just for the fun of it. They were about a mile away from Wilmon, Louisiana. Ahead of them, Wanyanyekevu could see a campsite with a fire burning bright. The wolf transformed into a middle-aged man. Here, we will stay for the night. Wanyanyekevu notices the meal and a large tent. Is this for us? Wanyanyekevu said in awe. You must eat, our journey is long, and your training must start immediately. As he ate, the man said, the flesh cannot pronounce my name, but you can call me Mletsi, for I will help you through your training and will be with you so long as Sabaoth bids me. He slowed his pace as he continued. You're well versed in the Torah, is that not right? Wanyanyekevu replied, yes, as a matter of fact, I am. Mletsi shook his head, saying, you'll need that, but knowledge, wisdom, and understanding are what we shall learn on this journey. As he spoke, a few miles above them flew a sky craft as it was racing by. Wanyanyekevu, looking up toward the vehicle, many of these sky crafts don't come around this area unless they were up to no good because they have souterrains in these parts. Souterrains were a type of transportation system miles underground that connected many bubble cities in the south. Wanyanyekevu was scratching his head as he asked, I have never seen these Abenians or any other race but my own. Why are they so afraid, mad, or whatever it is of us? Mletsi replied, you will understand all that and more soon enough. Know this now, you are a full-blooded Wakatilian that can be traced back to slavery. However, together I will help you learn of your ancestors, also from Africa and the Garden of Eden. These so-called computans and anakatas are being used as energy, like a battery, and other vices to enforce their agenda. Soon, they will be crossbred and possessed by the Abenians. This is an evil plan devised for humanity to destroy each other, to create hatred and envy towards one another in a well-designed act of genocide. Even as I speak, the Abenians are now manipulating, raping, and killing many of Sabaoth's people, trying to prevent the course of Sabaoth and manipulating his people to believe a lie, causing them to hate themselves and anyone who looks like them. A trick that would soon be hard to reverse. Wanyanyekevu stood there like a statue, absorbing all that Mletsi said. He asked, I am a ready and willing vessel. What is it I must do for Sabaoth? Mletsi smiled. For centuries, many have joked about the powers of Sabaoth. He created this earth, moon, and stars, but they say he cannot give men the power to heal. He created the ants and microorganisms that feed off other animals, and these same organisms even live in the water they drink, but he cannot make a man take flight. They have insulted Sabaoth long enough, and it all starts with you. He has chosen you as the introduction, the instructor, and the instrument of Sabaoth's magnificent powers and gifts. The great deceiver has pulled out all the stops, but Sabaoth created him, so what can the creature say to the Creator? Sabaoth shall give humanity his powers, his gift to those who deserve them. Gifts of flight, gifts of strength, gifts of speed to even up the battlefield. Mletsi anointed his hands and laid them on Wanyanyekevu. You have the gift to search a man's heart, but not only a man but all of Sabaoth's creations. If he lies or speaks the truth, you will know it. Mletsi then rubbed oil on his hands and shook Wanyanyekevu's hands. Be strong and faithful, and Sabaoth will always bless you. Looking up to the sky, he continued. Know this, a great rebellion shall be, and you and your descendants shall be the leaders of such a revolution, but no one shall be able to touch one hair on your body nor the people who follow you because the hand of Sabaoth shall be with you. Time shall pass, and again the Computans and the Abenians will take over your people and create hate, envy, and malice among your people because of the cross-breeding of doctrine and gradualism, but your sons and daughters shall prevail. Slowly, you will turn these victims into predators of evil. Once sin is noticed, there is repentance. But now, corruption has become a pleasure, and many sway from the will of Sabaoth. Sin is used as tools and instruments of entertainment and tools and instruments of satisfaction, and monetary status will be their pride as the last son comes and destroys all the deceiver's followers. Your sons, through Sabaoth's power, shall be blessed. He then anointed his hands again and laid them on Wanyinyekavu's shoulders. From this day forth, you and your people shall be the clan of Liberté. Wanyinyekavu interrupted. No, I beg of you, let it be to my father, for it is he who has raised me to be who I am, and I'm his example of what a man of Sabaoth should be. Mletsi rubbed oil on his hands and shook Wanyinyekavu's hands. Be strong and faithful, and Sabaoth will always bless you. Looking up to the sky, he continued, know this, a great rebellion shall be, and you and your descendants shall be the leaders of such a revolution, but no one shall be able to touch one hair on your body nor the people who follow you because the hand of Sabaoth shall be with you. Mletsi smiled and even laughed, it is so. The clan of Tablita, it shall be, but your name shall no longer be Liberté, but as of this day forward. You shall be called Wanyinyekavu by Sabaoth and all his creations. Wanyinyekavu stood up and, with pride, said, it is so. Mletsi then said, the task at hand requires excellent patience, understanding, and gifts. Know this, if they do not discover their talent or gift as a child, it will take time to teach them their gift, but through jeûne and prayer, all things are possible. Remember, some will have them already, for the Torah says, gifts come without repentance. Their conversation lasted for a while. Wanyinyekavu prepared to lie down for the night, trying to absorb all that was said to him on that night. He stared into the skies and said to himself, what's in a name? He rose and grabbed his notepad and pen and began to write. When a child is born, he or she is given a name, when that child becomes an adult, and in between. That name never remains the same. Your mother has a name for you, your father has another, friends call you something different, your spouse does too. So many names, what's in a name? God has many, Jesus does too, so do you. Another name will be given to you, when you leave this world, if you go to a better place, it will be the last one given, a new name just for you. Now tell me, what's in a name? Wanyinyekavu flipped the page and wrote again, nobody yet somebody. I was nobody then, I'm nobody now, although now, you want to call me somebody after material gain has been achieved, don't forget fame. Didn't hear my pain or cries when you considered me a nobody. Refused to be lifted by you and your standards. Was a nobody then, I'm a nobody now, keep your standards. The way I live, the way I think is me. I got to be just that. Me. Learned that in the streets, when you walked over me. Nobody, will I remind in your eyes. Regardless of your standards, nobody is where I want you to put me, keep me. When it comes to anything you do, to you, I will be proud to be called, to be named, nobody, yet somebody. Mletsi stood above Wanyinyekavu as he slept, awakened by his presence, he saw another person with him. Mletsi. Wanyinyekavu said as he slowly got up. Who is this? It seems as if I know him. Mletsi smiled and said, this is your guardian angel or henge guardian, in your tongue, but his name cannot be pronounced or spoken in your language, you may call him Yael. Yael stood there with a blank look on his face. He stood about 9 feet tall, muscular, with long hair down to his waist. Slowly he nodded his head to say hello. Wanyinyekavu looked at Yael and said, you're not the talkative type, are you? Mletsi smiled as Yael replied, no. Wanyinyekavu asked, why do you look so familiar? Yael said calmly, when you were 5, you picked up a stick and started swinging it like a sword. That stick became a sword, and it was then that I started teaching you how to wield that sword. When you were 9, you fell asleep outside your home, and a snake was headed toward you. I stopped him from attacking you, and there's a time you were asleep and were awakened by my presence. When I was about to leave, you woke up, looked up at me, and said, "Oh, it is you," and went back to sleep. Wanyanyekevu's memory was brought back to him as Yael spoke, saying, "Yes, I do remember that." Yael continued, 3 weeks ago, you almost drowned, it was I that lifted you so you could grab that limb from the tree. Mletsi stood there and politely interrupted, Yael will train you today. As he disappeared, Yael came at Wanyanyekevu with full force. Wanyanyekevu dodged Yael's approach and threw a punch toward him, but it went right through him. Then Yael kicked Wanyanyekevu, and he flew out of the tent into some bushes. After 15 minutes of fighting, Wanyanyekevu said in frustration, "How is this training? I cannot land one punch because they go right through you." Yael said sternly, "This day forward, you must fight in the spirit. Understand this, because you are already flesh, you can truly defeat the flesh, but if you fight in the spirit because you're already flesh, you can defeat both. The flesh cannot fight spirit, and spirit cannot fight the flesh, only the spirit within the flesh. Why do you shun and don't use it? Until now, no one has been able to, so I will teach you how to fight in the spirit. You will teach others." Pointing at a log, he commanded Wanyanyekevu, "Sit." Yael motioned as if he was throwing something at him, but his hands were empty. Before he knew it, Wanyanyekevu saw a water bag coming toward him, as he grabbed it. "Drink," Yael said. "This leather skin bag you now drink from was not in my hand before I threw it, to you, that is. But I had manifested it in the spirit, and it became tangible before it left my hand. You must learn to fight in the spirit from this day forward. For fighting in the spirit will always conquer the flesh." Wanyanyekevu was confused, and Yael saw the confusion in his eyes. Yael said, "Teach me your fighting style as if I'm your student. Before you finish, you will no longer be confused." Wanyanyekevu was excited yet nervous as his heart was beating like a drum, for he was always the student but never the teacher. He stood up. "Yael, you're my first student." Yael gave him a half-smiled, "I am not, by far, your last." Wanyanyekevu was shocked at the smile and didn't hear what Yael had said because it baffled him that Yael had even smiled. Wanyanyekevu said, "Okay, first a brief history. My style is a mixture of African, Asian, and Native American martial art handed down from generation to generation in my family called poing or hands." Yael said, "After we are done, it will no longer be its name, it will be called poing de Dieu or hands of God." Wanyanyekevu became excited and began teaching, using styles like Kumjuka, Okichita, tomahawk fighting, Falamikai, Chulukuryu, and incorporating them with the African art of fighting. They work together as one force, keeping with what we call the 7 grandfathers, Nibwakawin, Zodyiduin, Minadendamoan, Akoduin, Guayakwadizawin, Dabadandiziwin, and Debwin, which are wisdom, love, respect, bravery, humility, and truth, respectively. Wisdom, to cherish knowledge, is to know wisdom. Wisdom is given by the Creator to be used for the people's good. Love is the ability to know peace as love, and this love must be unconditional. Respect is to honor all creation, therefore, to respect it. All creation, big or small, must be treated with respect. You must give respect if you wish to be respected. Bravery is to face the foe with integrity. Honesty in facing a situation is to be brave. Always be honest in words and actions. Being honest first with yourself makes it easy to be honest with others. Humility is to know yourself as a sacred part of creation. And last, truth is to know these things. Speak the truth, so you do not deceive yourself or others. Wanyinyekevu began unstrapping something from his leather backpack. This is an isi langu, our traditional war shield. It's made from wood and usually 4 foot long. He grabs a white pearl cane he has strapped to his back. This was my great-grandfather Hakan. He slightly turned the handle, and a spear ejected, then he turned the handle the opposite way, and the spear quickly retracted into the cane. This is an assegai. He reached into his backpack. Oh, I forgot, I love making these out of wood and even metals. They come in handy, called shurikens or stars. Now, all moves and techniques are used in what we call kata. Kata is a Japanese word meaning form. It refers to a detailed choreographed pattern of martial arts movements made to be practiced alone. It can also be reviewed within groups and in unison when training. It is practiced in martial arts to memorize and perfect your movements. Simply a dance, and it comfortably combines all your activities. As you perform your kata, you create moves and styles of your own until you become a master by using stances and preparatory positions, kicking, striking, and blocking techniques. I will perform and name a few of each. Your stances or tachiwaza, which are many, you have. Wanyinyekevu stands there with his arms tucked to his side in a fist and continues, Hisaku dachi, a formal attention stance. Hold on, I forgot to bow. Then he stood straight up with both heels touching, then bowed. One bow to show respect to his opponent. Then he quickly spread his feet at a 45 angle, saying, Musubi dachi, this is an informal attention stance, and, he moved quickly yet gracefully changing his position. Now, this is a parallel attention stance, called Haiko dachi and. Changing his position once again, he shouted. One more, Hachiji dachi, an outward feet stance. Wanyinyekevu stood up with his knee slightly bent. Now, your blocking techniques or yukwaza can be used with arms or legs. Using the arms, he quickly raised his left arm, bent at a 45-degree angle, H-yuke or rising block, quickly. Thrust his arm down, MP-yuke, elbow block. He continued to move around, calling out positions. Geden barai, sweeping low block. Sweating profusely, he had just caught his second wind, blocking with your legs, ashikubi cake yuke or hooking ankle block, mikazuki jerry yuke, crescent kick block, nami ashi, leg snapping wave block. Yael attempted to interrupt him twice, but Wanyinyekevu didn't hear him as he continued. Then you have your striking techniques, achiwaza. Yael shouted forcefully. Easy MPI. Quickly, without hesitation, Wanyinyekevu became quiet and stood in a battle stance. Confused for a second until Yael said, You thought I didn't know that command? Wanyinyekevu said, Sabaoth knows all because he created all. Yael, with somewhat of a smile, said, Let me see this kata without you calling out the titles of every move you make. He gracefully performed a kata that lasted 20 minutes, trying not to call out the move, for it was a habit. Yael stood there and asked, Do you see your enemies in front of you when you perform this kata? Wanyinyekevu said, Sometimes. Yael created an illusion of 5 tall and muscular men. Now, let's see how you can dance with these men. The men formed a circle around Wanyinyekevu and attacked him. He quickly blocked and counterattacked the men even though he was tired and needed to catch his breath, for he had been going on for nearly an hour without rest. One by one, the men attacked Wanyinyekevu. Yael did not concern himself that Wanyinyekevu needed rest. That's when Yael said, Here's how you fight in the spirit, for I see your flesh is tired. Use your spirit to finish the fight. Don't worry that you're tired, for flesh gets tired, but your spirit does not. When you fast, you want food but do not eat, for you set your mind, and the spirit follows and takes over. Do the same here. Yael paused as he saw Wanyinyekevu slowly getting the message when he said, Remember, your mind tells the spirit tells the soul. It was as if that statement made him see things in another light, and it was light shone in the darkness, an epiphany. Wanyanyekevu fought back furiously and defeated the men. They disappeared, and Wanyanyekevu said, I kind of understand now. Yael said, you rest and fully understand what was said and what you have done for the rest of the day. Wanyanyekevu, exhausted and out of breath, takes a seat on a log. Yael smiled again. Your meal for today is in Transylvania. Wanyanyekevu looked up, saying, that's about 2 hours away, Yael replied. It would seem you need to get started then, Wanyanyekevu said to Yael as he started jogging towards Transylvania. Even your humor is dry. As Wanyanyekevu got closer to Transylvania, he saw at a distance a campfire. Mletsi was standing in front of the fire. Eat and get some rest, for tomorrow will be a day of relaxation and conversation. Wanyanyekevu took a seat on top of a rock fashioned like a chair. If we are going to talk, why do I need? As he took a seat, he heard the words, and upon this rock, I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. As he looked up, Mletsi had disappeared.